Hey, what's up, guys? This is GMRen bringing the first PvP Thursday with Phantom Dust. I've got something a little bit special this time. I'm not going to be able to have this all the time because it's not every day that I'm in a tournament, but this is tournament footage. First tournament footage. We just had a 1v1 tournament, and I did terribly as far as score is concerned, but all things considered, I think I did pretty good. If you're close to the community, you may have already seen some of this footage. Dallin Mueller, I think that's how his name's pronounced. He's done commentary for just about all the videos. But how this is different is it's from a completely different perspective. For one, some of the videos that Dallin did, he did live recordings as a third person. I think one of them is recorded by somebody else as well, and also he just doesn't have my perspective. He doesn't know what the arsenals I'm playing are, and the design decisions. And there are also a lot of times when, like, he has a lot of information, but he can't see exactly which skills I have or exactly what I'm digging for. Like, he just wouldn't know any of that stuff. So I'm going to be playing back all of these videos. I already put them all together so I can just go straight through it. And I'll be doing commentary on the whole thing. First big note, I was pretty disappointed with a lot of my play. I'm not like an amazing player, but there were a lot of mistakes that I made in the first 4 matches that I was already aware were mistakes, and I just didn't have enough practice to not do them. That's really all it comes down to. I was also very nervous, but really it was just I didn't have a lot of practice, and my awareness was really bad. There were a lot of things, a lot of information that I just didn't catch at all. So, but the last match was pretty good. So without further ado, let's get started. This first match is me versus Xanxus. Xanxus, if I remember correctly, won the last tournament, and is regarded as one of the strongest players, definitely one of the favored people to win in this pool. This is a round robin style portion of the tournament. It's round robin, and then the top 2 players from each group will do 1v1s, I think as a top 8. So first match is against Xanxus. The odds are definitely not in my favor, but let's see how this turns out. Actually, I don't know how this happened. Oh no, I do know how this happened. My record button is the exact same as the change speed button. Okay. So I started out with 3 aura particles, and I'll actually pause it right here. This was my first and biggest mistake in this match. Xanxus had an attack and a yellow, and what I was doing, just a little background, what I was doing is just trying to hold on to my cards so that he doesn't see what I have just yet. From his perspective, all he can see is that I have like some little velvet red capsules. He can't see what those are until I put them in my hand. He can't see what type of skill they are. So I was trying to hold on to it. And he, being a smart player, came over, because if he comes over and I don't pick up anything, then he's just going to have his way with whatever attack I have. So he comes over and forces me to pick up some skills. But the mistake that I made here was filling up my hand early. I didn't have to pick up all of these skills, and honestly, I should have looked at them before I just started twiddling my thumbs, so that I knew which ones to pick up if he came over. So this is the first big mistake, and you'll actually see why it affects me, because now if I want to pick up any aura particles, I'm going to have to overwrite something, and these are all great skills to start the game with in this position. So there it is, 3 aura particles. I'm going to have to overwrite something in order to not be sitting at 3 aura. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, that's the first loss. So I overwrote the slide laser, and that would have ended up being really good a little bit later in the game. So now Xanxus comes over to pressure me. I stand near the ledge to try and jump off. I didn't time the jump correctly. And now I'm in a really bad spot because Xanxus has 3 attacks. Yep, and he's just pounding away. I really thought that Will-O-The-Wisp would hit the stairs, and so I didn't block. I have a shield, but I was really confident it was going to hit the stairs, and when it didn't, I just wasn't prepared to block. So finally I blocked something. Get back up to my base because I really need to pick up some skills in order to contest his pressure. Yep, he timed his attack really good there. I could have actually I could have actually walked a little bit forward and tried to block the attack sooner. But yeah, I finally did something right. I caught him while he was doing the Will-O-The-Wisp. I shot a blaster because that's a really fast attack. And that's the end of the first match. I could have blocked that second attack, but my nerves were just getting the best of me, so that's how the first one ended up. Yeah, like I said, my awareness was pretty bad and I was really nervous. This was my first tournament match and I'm going against one of the best players, so there was a lot going on in my head. So the next map is, I think it's Highway. And I'm making up my mind about which arsenal I want to play. I still don't really know anything about Xanxus's arsenals, so really what I pick is just, do I want to be risky or do I want to play solid? The off-balance arsenal is actually pretty good, but it's a little more risky, and that's what I chose. So we're going to Highway next. This off-balance deck or arsenal is a it's kind of a cheesy arsenal. It's a vicious, at its core it's a vicious balance deck. And actually I'll pause it right here. One of the first mistakes was I didn't try and dig deeper for a vicious balance. Like I want to see that pretty early. Like just about any game is just a snowball of different mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes. But the hand that you start with is really important. This is a vicious balance deck, and I didn't try and dig for a vicious balance. So that was first big mistake that ends up snowballing pretty bad. So now I'm kind of digging a little bit. I honestly think I should have just picked up that that rebirth as well, because at this point I don't know when I'm going to see a vicious balance. And again, I don't see a vicious balance. If I was more experienced with this deck, I would have picked up the dash right there and placed the Lunar Force, so that I can do something with my key palm. But instead I wait a little bit and I still don't place the Lunar Force. Still haven't picked up the rebirth. There's an aura particle, still no vicious balance. There's a vicious balance. So now I want him to get closer. I just have to hope that he doesn't have an orb. If he does have an orb, I'm screwed. So I wait to pick it up so that he gets closer and I can catch him out of position. I saw this match from his perspective and he manual aimed that cluster bomb and it was amazing. Yep, I don't know what I was doing there with the key palm because I didn't place the Lunar Force, so it wouldn't have done any damage. unless I held it down to charge it. Now I'm kind of pushed off of my base. I don't have any good attacks that I can really counteract him with, and he's well prepared. I didn't realize that was down at the moment. So now I pick up the Tiger Strength. I can kind of counterplay a little bit with my Key Palms and Tiger Strength, but I'm very low on life, so I use a Rebirth. Looking back at this match, I could have waited to use that Rebirth. It is definitely scary to be one hit away from death, but if I had been a bit calmer, I could have just played really smart and waited to use that Rebirth until I could have aura particles. Yep, and he pretty much just pounds at me while my deck isn't really working. So, and that's the end of the second round. So, yeah, as you can see, Xanxus is a really strong player. I'm also making mistakes, and that's just what it looks like when the difference in experience is so great. I was pretty frustrated though. There were a lot of things that I could have done that I even knew I should have been doing, like digging deeper to try and get the vicious balance and throwing my hand back when I don't have a hand that represents what I want to see as my starting hand. I should have thrown it back. So now Panorama, I hear a lot of people say that Panorama is a very hit and miss type of location. People that are really good can lose really easily because there's just a lot of weird positions, and it's very close range, and sometimes ricochet laser, there's nothing you can do about it. It'll just bounce off all the walls and nail you. So again, like in any game, your mistakes snowball really hard, especially the early ones. This is a memory lapse deck, and basically I plan on hanging a memory lapse somewhere where it can't be picked up, and then just using reincarnation and photon barrier to wear away at my opponent, and without them really having any unlimited use counterplay. I started this hand without any memory lapses, and there were none on the field. I should have threw it back. I don't know. I think this was a case where I was just really nervous, and the pressure was getting to me, and I just wasn't thinking well enough. But 3 aura particles and a relearn and no memory lapse, I should have tried to get a new hand to start this out. And so once again, that mistake ends up snowballing. Spoiler alert, I do lose this. But yeah, I at least tried to throw some stuff at him while he's getting his arsenal set up. Really, I should have, at this point, I should have just been digging instead of throwing stuff at him. I should have just been digging and overriding stuff without abandon to try and run into my memory lapse. But since I took time to throw stuff at him, it takes me a little bit longer to reach my memory lapse. And also, I wasn't picking up those skills. I probably would have seen one if I had picked those up much sooner, as soon as I could have. So now he's coming in, and I just want to try and keep him away until stuff spawns for me. I knew he was playing nature because he's got heat, but I wasn't expecting that. I think that's a vacuum wall. And I relearned the reincarnation when I already had one. I really shouldn't have. And now I'm just a sitting duck trying to wait for my memory lapses to respawn while he pressures me. That caught me by surprise. I completely forgot it was something you could wait on, and I tried to walk it because a lot of key attacks can be walked, but apparently key palm is a lot harder. And hyper kick is a really fast attack. I literally could not react to it. Again, he faced me out with a held key palm, and I'm just desperately trying to get back to my memory lapse that finally spawned. And that hyper kick, again, I couldn't see it. On Sama in particular, his hyper kick, the animation is almost invisible. Like, if he was playing the main character would do like a jump kick. But Sama just like floats towards you and suddenly you're hit. So that's how that went. Second game was against Kamikaze Mario. These were a lot closer. I probably should have won at least one of these, but I did not. But anyway, these were really fun, close games. So let's see how this one went. So I got a pretty decent RS start. I decided to pitch it back to try and get a little bit more skills in my hand, and it actually worked out pretty good that time. So this time I specifically leave a slot open in my deck, or in my hand, so that I can pick up Aura, which is a little better than the first game. So now I've got an amulet. I'm not sure if I want to leave it there or pick it up, and I do decide to pick it up. But I don't override it just yet. We're kind of in that phase where we're like filling out each other's decks, and I have no idea what he's playing yet. If he's playing anything erase, that amulet could be my lifeline, but I decide I don't see any erase skills for long enough, so I just pick it up. Manual aim the slide laser just to see if he would defend with anything. I learned that he has a flash hole, so that's good. I know he's playing Faith, and I know he's got a flash hole. So now, honestly, I should have just fired the blaster. I didn't realize until later that without a trance, none of my attacks really break his flash hole, besides blaster. And at that point, I should have just thrown it at him and tried to trade my blaster for his flash hole, because it'll erase the blaster. And so at this point, I wanted to lure him out. He was coming out a little bit, and I wanted to lure him out so I could try and hammer him with something. I don't have enough mana or aura for a combo just yet, and that's when I decided to trade the blaster so I can pick up the aura without overriding anything. Since I had another one, now I've got enough for the Will-O-the-Wisp and blaster combo. The problem I had this game though was Kamikaze Mario. His positioning was very, very cautious. He erased the blaster because that hit first, and I still had my Will-O-the-Wisp. So that was a decent trade. If I had hit the Will-O-the-Wisp first, I would have lost both of those. And this is where I failed pretty hard. I did a good job dodging that Muramasa. Those are really scary. That probably would have just ended me. So the timing there was off. What I didn't realize sooner was that the only defense he had was a Iron Skin. For some reason, I was thinking that he had enough, that he had another shield, and he was trying to bait out the reincarnation to erase it. And I didn't realize until too late that he only had Iron Skin. And so here again, I'm getting kind of frustrated by his positioning. He's doing a good job of staying around the stairs and keeping himself out of open line of fire. And I've got this Will-o'-the-Wisp, which is slow enough that he can always just walk it into the stairs. And that's exactly what he does. So at this point, I wish I had realized that sooner and just gone back to my base and picked up the trance. But again, my awareness was pretty bad, and so I hung around there a lot longer than I should have. So now I've got the trance and I can actually break that shield. And that was backwards too. I should have used the Angel's Wing, or that, I forget, I think it's Angel's Tears. Should have used that first to maximize the time I have on my trance. And also I'm leading with Will-o'-the-Wisp instead of Reincarnation, and that he's easily walking those all the time. So I've got plenty of aura. I should really just be leading with Reincarnation, since unless he's really in the open, and he's not been in the open lately. So once again I'm frustrated, headed back to base because he's not positioning himself in a way where I can really work with the skills that I have. But there's nothing better at my base either. Yep, the hyper kick hits. It's a very accurate move. Actually, Dallin was commenting that I should have jumped in the hole at this point instead of trying to run all the way back to my base. If I had done that, I would have been able to pick up my Angel's Wing. And even though jumping in the hole causes me 3 damage, that's a lot less than all the damage I took from these hyper kicks. Yep, and he just closes it out with the hyper kicks because I couldn't get back to my base. Alright, so our next match is on Highway. Once again, deciding what to play. I usually would like to switch it up so I'm not bringing the exact same deck so they have to react and they don't already know my game plan. So I go with the Vicious Balance deck again. So I had a pretty decent start. I've got a Vicious Balance in hand and one on the field and a almost perfect hand to start this with. So I go in. I'm trying to pressure him right now. So now I know he's got an Ice Sword. I really just wanted to see what he had at first. But I decided to go back to base. Actually, come to think of it, I shouldn't have gone back to my base. I had the right hand for the situation. Like, the only thing I could pick up is dash. And I don't want to give up anything that I have. What I really want to do is use the Vicious Balance. I should have used the Vicious Balance sooner. And picked up the dash in the place. So I used my Vicious Balance, and once again he had Orb. It's not like I don't expect anybody to have Orb, but he had it at the right time, and he caught what type of deck I was playing, so that's it. But he doesn't appear to have any projectiles right now, so I'm pretty safe with my dash. I kind of wish I had realized sooner that I could have picked up my Vicious Balance and waited for him to use a move, because sometimes that'll happen. Orb won't work unless you have 2 aura. So I could have picked it up and tried baiting him out to use moves while I'm throwing key palms at him. Yep, so like in this situation, if I had thrown a key palm and baited that out, and I had the vicious balance and baited it out a second time, I could have still vicious balanced him even though he had the orb. But instead I have a rebirth in my hand, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good. It did get me back up to full, but it didn't do me any good when I was being aggressive over there. So at this point I just decided to give up on vicious balance because I didn't realize I could still bait him out. And that was definitely a misclick. I should have shot the key cannon the first time. So now I try and get behind cover so I'm not just doing that in the open. And I'm trying to see if I can bait him out. I do end up baiting him out, but I forget how quick Blaster is, and so I take some damage while I'm not behind cover. That Tiger Strength should not have been done when I did it. Yep, so I've given up on vicious balance. I honestly should be digging for another, no, I don't think I have another Swift Punch right now in this version of the deck. But I am putting some pressure on him, some pretty good pressure. So I'm just hoping to keep this up. He does try to do an eraser, but it misses. I don't know how, but sometimes stuff just works like that in this game. So I'm getting him pretty low with this key palm pressure. Also, being kind of a noob, I didn't realize I could have held it. Yep, I shouldn't have been doing that. The same situation as before. The best I can hope for there is a trade, and he does more damage than me, so it's a bad play. I do have another key palm that I can use, and so I get ready and try and close this out. I know he still has the Fortress of Iron, but I might be able to bait him to not use it. So I actually hit him with that, and then the Tiger Strength wore off. He would have been dead if it didn't wear off at that very moment. And right here, I didn't realize the floor opened up. When he shot that blaster at me, the floor opened up right there, just out of view, so I couldn't see that the floor was going to swallow me up there.
Yeah, that was close, man. I shot it when you dashed over it.
Yep, and unfortunately I'm muted in this video, so you can't hear me talking to him, but we were both pretty excited by that game. It was really close. I had been wanting to try the Heat from the Void deck for a long time. I don't know if it would have done such a good job on Panorama, to be honest. I could have tried and baited him into the open space, this space right here, but that's not what I did. Alright, and once again I have to pause to say that was really dumb. This was a legit, like, careless mistake. I was actually trying to mute my microphone again when the game started. Didn't realize the game had started, and by the time I realized and hit the back button to switch my hand, it was too late, and you could actually see it that I hit the back button, and because the game went to pause, and that's when I was trying to change hands. So once again, I start my memory lapse deck without any memory lapses, and I just have nothing but 2 relearns, which looks really dumb. The relearns are supposed to be used to recover memory lapses in the case that they have something that can erase arsenals. Environmentals. So now he's pressuring me with hyper kick. Yep, I pick up the memory lapse, and my goal right now should just be to lay it down so he stops hyper kicking me. It's like a makeshift shield. I finally do get it down, though it cost me a lot of damage to do that. And now I'm just I don't know what I'm really doing. I'm not gonna hit with that reincarnation right now. So another memory lapse just popped up, so I pick up that one. I think Bregan was actually saying that I needed to, at this point, just lay down a memory lapse, pick up my other one, and then go hang it. And I was trying to hang it, but I was taking my sweet time and took 2 more hyper kicks. This match was so disappointing. Now I'm just trying to get him off of me when really I should have just picked up the memory lapse and booked it. And that Seal of Death, it did hit. It was a good time to use it, but not with the health that I had. It was a good range to use it at. So yeah, I should have been right here focusing on finding a place to hang the new memory lapse and just force him to pick it up. Because I had the advantage while it's up. But since I didn't do that, now he's got a Fire of Gehenna, and I'm looking for a place to hang this memory lapse now. And this is me being inexperienced on the map. I didn't realize that was the corner. I thought I was walking into this room here, but I wasn't. The only places that I knew I could hang it were on these lockers here. There's a ton of places to hang environmentals, but I just didn't know. And then here is where I realized my key mistake. I only had 1 HP left after this Seal of Death, so I couldn't hit the other box that would deny him access to that environment. So he Muramasa Blades and breaks one of my photon barriers, but both his Muramasas are gone. And there's really not much I can do. My memory lapses are just... My memory lapses in a place he can get to it, and he does go up there and pick it up now. And there's really nothing I can do. I've got 1 health and a Seal of Death that I can't use. So this is a really frustrating way to lose this game, but you can probably see where this is going. There's another memory lapse. For some reason I don't, well, I guess it's not that bad that I didn't immediately pick it up. But this is another opportunity to go hang it somewhere. And again, the only place I knew I could hang it was on those lockers, but I think on that vending machine I just passed was a place that I could have hung it without being under fire. I could have died to trash damage right there. And there's so many other places I could have hung this memory lapse, but I just was lacking the map knowledge to do it. Yep, and he hammers me with the Fire of Gehenna the very moment I lay it, so that's the end of that one.
I didn't think I was gonna get through that photon. Yeah, I could really been real close.
So we're about halfway through. We were just talking about the game. You can't hear what I'm saying. Can barely hear what he's saying too. Filthy pops up in the lobby for a second. Yeah, so that was That was real disappointing. I had many opportunities to win. If there was any player in this tournament that I could have beat, it was definitely him. So now this is my match against Mr. Math. Again, I was a little bit confused with Bregan being there. This is my first time having Bregan in the match. I started out with a pretty decent start. For some reason this is a lot louder than the other one. But yeah, I made that same mistake of filling up my hand again, so I had to overwrite something to pick up Aura. So, like always, little early mistakes do snowball, so be very... If you're training for this game, really focus on what you do in the beginning, because it can and will snowball hard if you mess up in the beginning. So there I trade a flash hole for a or a will-o'-the-wisp for a flash hole. I kind of knew what I was doing there, and I knew he would flash hole it, but I was just trying to get rid of a slot without overriding any more skills, and trade for a flash hole. So he does flash hole that, but he makes it clear he still wants to follow me, so I'm just trying to get back to my base, to be honest, without taking too much damage. I still don't know what he has. So he's got a Fortress of Iron that I can't... My reincarnation isn't going to be big enough to get there. The Lightning Sword, this was my first time learning that Angel's Wing is not a very consistent defense while you're moving. If you're standing still, you're going to be facing them, and you'll be able to block a lot of close range defenses that way. But if you're moving away from them, a lot of times you had to turn around before you can actually use it, and that was how I got hit by it. Hit by a lightning sword, and that erased it. So here, I just threw out that reincarnation. It was really kind of pointless. I know he has the Forces of Iron, and really I just wanted more space. I wanted more space in between the two of us. So what I should have been doing here is hanging around the stairs, because he's a cartwheeler, and that's the one place that I have an advantage in creating distances around the stairs, where I can jump up the stairs or down the stairs really easily. So I just want to comment on this. I got rid of the trance and picked up a jackpot, or picked up an armor particle and a jackpot, which really didn't help me. He had a Forces of Iron, and the only way I can break through that Forces of Iron is by chaining two skills together that are tranced. Reincarnation Blaster is still only 7 damage, so I literally just gave up my opportunity to break his shield that's keeping me from hurting him. He erases the reincarnation with a flash hole. I think by now it would have been safe to assume that he's not trying to status effect, like hurt me with status effects. So I could have picked up that Angel's Tears and used it a long time ago to just get further through my deck. Pick up the next trance. So now I've got a trance, but I don't have reincarnation to use it with, or any other attacks for that matter. And now I see he's coming to pressure me again, so I don't really have any good options there, and I shouldn't have jumped off, because he wasn't that threatening. This was... Yeah, and I took 8 damage from my jackpot. That jackpot seemed to go off a lot faster than usual. It might have just been a little blip of lag or something like that. Trade the... trade the blaster for a flash hole. This was a real big problem of awareness. He doesn't have any attacks right now. So I really shouldn't have been afraid of getting close to him, and just because I can pick up my skills before he can diabolical trick them from me. So I really should have just walked up there and guarded my skills by being next to them. But again, problem with awareness. I didn't realize he didn't have an attack. And there I tranced, forgetting that I only had 1 HP. So there goes the first match to Mr. Math. So I'm kind of thinking, I still don't really have a game plan for which deck I want to use where and against who. I don't really know. I watched some of Mr. Math's games, but like he didn't really play any arsenals that had heart counters. So didn't really know what to pick. I just decided to go with this deck, which is a little bit more of a solid deck. I do change hands, which was a good thing. It didn't end up giving me a great hand, but it was better than what I had. So now I'm trying to hold on to that empty slot so I can pick up Aura. And right here, this is where I should have actually started digging. I don't want to overwrite skills, but sometimes you just have to overwrite skills in order to make sure that you have enough to work with. But I do notice he only has 2 aura, and he probably can't defend with a whole lot right now. So I get a little aggressive while I'm waiting for that other capsule to spawn. And I'm kind of slowing him down from picking up his capsules too, but not by much. So the other capsule spawns, and here I absolutely should be just burning through all of my skills so I don't fall behind in aura. So I picked up 2. I really should have picked up the heat as well. Now he's got 4 aura, and he's coming to meet me. I have nothing to contest this with. And he's got the perfect attack for me right now. The Fire of Gehenna. So I pick up the flash hole, I still can't use it. I'm like, okay, let me just try and pick up as many skills as I can. I do finally jump over his flame sword. Honestly, I should have stayed in flame sword range. Because I can jump that, but Fire of Gehenna is like undodgeable with a jumper. So that was a really quick loss because I couldn't get enough aura to do anything. Another example of little mistakes snowballing. At a certain point, I should have just picked up all of my skills to make sure that I don't get caught without aura. And I didn't do that fast enough. So I pick my Vicious Balance deck again. Vicious Balance, Key Palm, Swift Punch. Bregan's killing himself. I didn't realize I could have used the Vicious Balance right now because Bregan's at 5 aura and it wouldn't have dropped anybody to 0. So I was trying to wait for him. So I finally do hit him with the Vicious Balance. And here I'm being cautious for some reason. I have a Tiger Strength and a Swift Punch. I should have just been attacking him. That was just wasted time. So I land a Swift Punch, and really I just want to keep doing this over and over again until he has some kind of shield. I'm making it really hard for him to pick up his stuff. So now he's got a green, and he used it. Picked up an environment. I can't really see him, but I'm still trying to hit him. I can see him, but I can't lock onto him, so I'm just trying to hit him with manual aimed key palms. Because he still doesn't have anything to really hurt me with yet, as far as I can tell. So I just want to keep this up for as long as I can. Now he lays down an optimization. And this didn't actually bother me. He used another one of those, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what he's doing. That's what he's doing. It's really hard for me to dodge that attack. I used the rebirth. I could have waited a little longer to use that, to be honest, because he couldn't catch up to me. And I do pay for that. That was a big mistake. He couldn't catch up to me with that photon burst. So I could have got back to my base, burned through some skills, and I didn't have to go picking up stuff right away. No, sorry, I didn't have to use the rebirth right away. I wasn't in any real danger. So now I'm sitting here with zero aura, unable to do anything about what he's doing. That Keepon wouldn't have even done any damage. So I tried baiting him out there because I didn't realize the photon burst recovered that quickly. So now I'm just like, okay, I have enough to use a dash. I can just go, I was gonna pick up the optimization there, but he guarded it. So then I see that a vicious balance spawn, so I'm like, okay, let's go back, pick up the vicious balance, maybe that'll give me a chance. Now in hindsight, I should have used the vicious balance right now, but instead I wanted to try and pick up the optimization first. And that ricochet laser just perfectly aligns all of the lasers directly at me, and they hit me before I can even realize to dash. So that's how that went. In the aftermath, if I had used the vicious balance,
Good games, Ren.
if I had used the vicious balance when I said I should have, I would have stood a good chance. So here's my last game against the Multitude. I had an excellent start this time. Good aura, an attack I like, and a shield. So I'm just feeling out to see what he has. He didn't contest it with a flash hole, so I can at least assume he doesn't have a flash hole yet. So he jumps down. It looks like he's coming for me, so I trance up. He was coming for me, but he had a acquisition meteor, and that's extremely hard to dodge from the position I was in, so that was almost a guaranteed hit unless I blocked. I decided not to block and keep my shields, because meteor is a single-use skill. So at this point I just decided to go back. I've got aura that I can pick up. I do kind of make the mistake of filling up my hand again before I need it to. It wasn't too bad though. I actually thought I was going to be able to trade one of those defenses for something. So there's the flash hole. Trade it for the will-o'-the-wisp, and I pick up the blaster. That's exactly what I want to do in that situation. So now I just want to see if I can land a blaster. I don't know what defenses he has now, but I know I've broken a flash hole. So that move, I forget what it's called, but it's a 3 cost 6 defense. Blaster's not going to get through it, and a trance blaster isn't going to get through it either. So here I was just trying to catch him with random stray blasters. Really, I should have realized he's better than that, and he's not just going to randomly miss his defense. And I looked away from him for too long, and he walked towards me, so I caught that cycle knife. I tried hitting him there while he was popping the skill, but he didn't actually pop it. The Angel's Wing missed again because I wasn't looking at him, so then I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I'm looking at him when he does that attack. So I need to periodically pause like there so I can take the attack from him. So now he's got no attacks. He's gonna head back to his base, and I'm just trying to catch him with stray hits. This is a great time to pick up the reincarnation. If I trance and use reincarnation and blaster, I could break his, or even if I just use reincarnation and blaster, I could break his shield. At this point, I'm just waiting to see what comes up. I could have picked up the reincarnation and started pressuring him, but I wanted to see what came up first. And really, this is a great time to be pressuring him. He doesn't have an attack in his hand right now, so you could say it's a mistake for me to be sitting back right now, and I have perfectly good hand to go aggressive on him with. Instead, I wait, and now he's got an attack, and now he's ready to come for me. So I pick up the reincarnation. I didn't time that quite right. I let him get a little bit too close for that to work. And now that was a lot of my chances. Now he's just trying to fight me with his reincarnation. And again, I didn't realize that he didn't have a close range attack in this case. So I'm still kind of like facing him, making sure that I can use this Angel's Wing against any close range attacks. So the purples do look a lot like reds. There's really nothing I can do while he's that close to me. Yep, and that was a mistake. I was trying to use my Angel's Wing, and I picked up an R particle instead. Now, Bregan, after the fact, or Bregan in his video, actually brought up a good point that I should have been using Flash Hole against those reincarnations. Even though it cost me more aura, it would cost him an additional 2 aura, whereas it only cost me an additional 1 aura. And that would give me a better chance of actually landing a blaster or a reincarnation, or possibly erasing his reincarnation if he gets careless. So I should have been using Flash Hole instead of Angel's Wing. And that was definitely a big mistake. I could have capitalized on something if he had a lot less aura. And that sound there is my my mute button on my Blue Yeti microphone. You ready? Like, I press it sometimes and it unmutes and then mutes again, and it's kind of finicky.
Yeah.
Alright. So this time I pick up my Solido deck. Pretty solid deck to pick up. He quantum amps, so we have a little more aura. I do manage to hit him with that first jackpot, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can hit him with jackpots. So of course I keep using it. If it works, keep it up. So I want to try and hit him with jackpot. Cases like that where he's using skills or when he's picking up skills, so he's a little distracted. So I'm kind of trying to watch him and see when he's ready to pick up a skill or use a skill. And I have this thunderstorm in my hand. I kind of wish I could get rid of it and just pick up the R particle and the heat and keep going through my deck, because it's not, by now I should see that the jackpot isn't really working too well, and so I should be spending time going through my deck the same way that he is. So I should get rid of the thunderstorm and go through my deck. So that's sort of what I'm doing. I'm headed to him to use the thunderstorm. And he shields against it, so that's great. That's great for him. Otherwise he would have lost his shield. That was a good place to use thunderstorm. Yep, and that was another invisible animation for me. I had no idea that that's how he does his Psycho Burst. I literally couldn't see it. He was very quiet when he did it. So I jumped down to throw a last will-o'-the-wisp and see if it hits. I don't need to watch it to see if it hits or not. I just figured it wouldn't. If it does, great. Hit him with another jackpot there, and another, so I'm doing pretty good. But then I take a railgun, being a little greedy. I have a flash hole. I could have just waited for it and snatched it up with a flash hole. So he manages to dodge my will-o'-the-wisp. That was a bad trade because one more shot kills me, so I really just shouldn't have done that one. When I did, I really thought it was kind of a bad read because I was aware that I was one shot from death in that case, but I threw the will-o'-the-wisp and I got away with it, because that actually comes out a little bit faster. So I threw the will-o'-the-wisp, I got away with it, and I was like, okay, I know that he knows I have a flash hole, so I didn't think he was gonna use his railgun and just run it right into my flash hole, and so I kind of walked around a little bit and tried to see if he would use it.
Yep.
He didn't, and so I threw the jackpot as the will-o'-the-wisp got closer, and that was exactly when he used it. So he kind of psyched me out. So now we're on City. This is my first time playing City in a tournament match. We've got a pretty decent start. I've got a will-o'-the-wisp blaster trance. I don't have enough aura to combo it yet, so I'm trying to dig for more aura. I do take a 2 damage rapid cannon there because I wasn't expecting it at all. So now I'm really trying to go pick up aura. I pick up the jackpot. I don't really want to use jackpot this game because he's proven pretty good at jumping it. I did get some damage off of it, but I've given up on jackpot now, so I just override it. Now I've got enough for my combo. And so I decided to go to move in. So right now I think I'm doing pretty good. I did take an unnecessary 2 damage, and he gets me pretty good there as well. But I'm in a good spot as far as my hand is concerned. Kind of wish I had a flash hole instead of an angel's wing, but can't hope for too much. So 6 damage blaster there, that was really good. I'm finally ahead in life. And now I'm in charge of this base. So I'm trying to find a good place to shoot my will-o'-the-wisp blaster, but then I realized he has a Fortress of Iron, and I'm like, okay, I can't break that with will-o'-the-wisp blaster. And so this is where I decided to jump off. Now in Bregan's commentary, he actually says I should have stayed there. At the time, I thought that was a bad idea, because I'd have to trance and land my will-o'-the-wisp blaster, and in the position that he was in, I couldn't really, he had free reign to position himself in a way that I couldn't land both of those attacks. But at the same time, thinking back on it, there's nothing else my deck can do. Like, that's the best combo on my deck, and I have to rely on it. I finally flash hole his laser, which is good. So now I'm trying to decide what to do. I don't really know what to do. Wait for a couple capsules to spawn. I'm like, okay, this is as good as it gets. So I pick up that and the trance and I go back in. I finally realized that there's nothing I can do but try and land that Will-O-the-Wisp blaster. And I shouldn't have jumped on that, to be honest. It's kind of risky because when you land you can get hit with stuff. So there he decides to jump off. He did heal back to full. And he was just outside of the range of that Will-O-the-Wisp. So that didn't connect, unfortunately. Now, Bregan was saying I should have thrown a blaster there, but I knew the Will-O-the-Wisp wouldn't reach. There was really nothing I could do with that one. And that blaster, or that missed opportunity, I don't think I had enough damage. I think my trance wore off. So he hits me with the ice sword, and this is really dangerous for me. I thought he was gonna stay on me with the ice sword. I jump off because I know I'm gonna unfreeze at that time. But unfortunately, that was it. I couldn't really mess around with his ice sword in front of him, so I jumped off.
All right, man.
Because I thought he was going to stay on me. I thought he was going to come right back up on me and keep using it.
And you got another match today?
So at the end, we just talk a little bit, and we end up playing a little bit more. But that is off topic. So to sum everything up, that was my 1v1 performance. Even though I didn't win the last game and I still made a lot of mistakes, at least I didn't make mistakes in the last set that snowballed really hard. I did fairly well the first and the third game. The second game, there was really nothing I could... Well, there were things I could do, but the mistakes weren't as obvious to me, and I just didn't realize it. So I hope you enjoyed. If you're a newer player, hope some of the commentary helped you to learn some things. I can't tell you like what all the skills do, so you just have to do that on your own. Before you watch the videos or in between videos or something, just pause it. But hopefully this helps somebody. Hopefully it's entertaining to somebody. Maybe one of these days I'll be a top player and this video will still be on YouTube and somebody will be like, man, look how far he's come from when he first started. So this is my first tournament, my first real high level play against my first play with other people that were really good. A lot of times I can walk all over just random people online. Anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.